Hello and welcome back to an extensive collection of name tags and hairnets. Thank you so much. I know it's been a month. It's been a crazy month since my last video. I'm sorry about that. Life gets crazy, right? So we just go with the flow. So welcome back. I am just getting my script ready. So thank you for being with me. If you've enjoyed the journey thus far, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe. That'd be great. So if you're looking for anything negative today, sorry, you're gonna have to wait. This is actually a very happy, fun, wistful, fondly reminiscing video. So on one of the best jobs I ever had, quite honestly. I've been working for 30 years since I was 11, and in that time, I can honestly say this was one of the best jobs I ever had. And here's why. I will get into it. This will be slightly longer, but I've got a lot of fun stories to share. So if you remember from the last video, I was working at the Boys and Girls Club, and that was fine. Everything was great. So I started there December of 99, and I was there during the school year only. So during the summer, I needed to find work. So I had to find a summer job. So we're at this point, we're about spring 2000. And I was at school, UWGB, University of Wisconsin, Green Bay, and there's an alcove in the library downstairs. One of the cool things about that school, it's one of the public institutions in Wisconsin, it has underground tunnels. As you can imagine, Wisconsin, it's the frozen tundra it's called that for a reason. So because of winters and hard to get to class, there are basically all the buildings are connected. All the school buildings, not the dorms, but the school buildings are connected through just tunnels. They're not like creepy tunnels. They're just hallways like you'd see in a school. So this particular hallway in the alcove down in the library was a table, basically not quite a job fair, but it was a table from the city of Green Bay, the Parks and Rec Department, advertising summer jobs for college students at Bay Beach. You know, if you're familiar with Bay Beach, you know why. This was cool. Everybody that's from Wisconsin on the eastern side is familiar with Bay Beach. So it was kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna definitely apply. So I did. And what was funny is I saw one of my friends, I think maybe an hour later in I think a different part of the school, and she had applied as well. So we were both hired, and it was really fun to work with her. So it was one of the many times she and I worked together. As I said, it's a great job for college and high school students. It's a summer job. There's responsibility obviously while you're there, but it's not working a forklift. So but you still have to be aware of safety. So I'm kind of talking off script now, which is not good. So I started working there, and because I had been working at the Boys and Girls Club, that gave me some more experience working with kids. Specifically at an amusement park, you're dealing with kids. So that was great. And at the same time, so my friend also got a job. And then at the same time, one of my sorority sisters had gotten a job at Six Flags Great America down just north of Chicago. And so during the school year, we would swap stories of different amusement park ride operator stories. And she had better stories, I'll tell you that, because it's a much, much, much bigger park. If you're not familiar with Six Flags, it's a big deal. They're kind of all over the country. It's a big amusement park. It's all rides. They do have some water rides, but it's all rides. I think they're mostly affiliated with Looney Tunes. So so we swap stories. So as I said, Bay Beach, most people are aware of it. So I did put in the description links to the Wikipedia page just for some basic history of Green Bay, or of Bay Beach rather. And then also a link to an article that was written in 2017 for the 125th birthday, basically, of Bay Beach. So I've linked both of those down below. I'm going to be kind of touching on that article later in the video, but right now I just want to give some background. It's Bay Beach. It's a big amusement park, like I've said. It's at the mouth of the Green Bay, which is that big big part of water that flows into Lake Michigan. So obviously you can imagine the park is open only during the summer from May until September. Most people forget when they're open, but they're open from May 1st through to September 30th, basically. In May, they're open on weekends until Memorial Weekend, and then they're open daily until Labor Day weekend. And then after that, they're open on weekends only because obviously they're relying on college and high school students. They can't work during the week because they're in school at that point. So also bear in mind that if you have been there in the last 20 years or in the last 10, 15 years, some of the rides that are there now weren't there when I worked there. So there have been some additions, such as the roller coaster, the Zippin' Pippin, which is one of the oldest roller coasters in the country right now. It's modeled after Elvis's favorite roller coaster. It's wooden. It doesn't go upside down. I'll say that. I wasn't working there when that was installed. That was after me. And there were a few other rides. In fact, there was a wading pool where there's one of the kiddie rides. It's a swing ride, but it's for little ones. That used to be a wading pool. I used to play in that when I was little. But they updated that over the last 10 years. And I totally get why. So the park has expanded tremendously over the last 20 years, which is great. I love it. In fact, I read in that article that I listed below that I think it's increased 50% since adding the roller coaster. Yeah. The other thing, my grandma would also, because it's 130 years old, my grandma, she would have been 91 on Friday. She's not with us, but she would have been 91, and she would tell me stories of when she was a kid in the 30s. She would, you'd go to Bay Beach and you'd swim in the water. Obviously, if you're familiar with Green Bay, there are a lot of manufacturing plants near the port. It's a port city, obviously, so there are a lot of manufacturing plants. So because of that, a lot of industrial waste. There have been efforts. In fact, there's an effort right now called Bring Back the Beach. I have a link below so you can learn more. And it's a whole effort to basically bring back accessibility to the beach so you can play in it. That's been a dream of mine since I was a kid. Talking with my grandma, I would love to be able to swim in the water. That dream is coming. It's coming. My mom said it when she was a kid, in the 60s and 70s. So to see this coming true is it's so wonderful. And I can't wait till that's open. So if you're interested in getting involved or donating, link below. Historical fact, just to show, age of the park, on August 9th, 1934, President Franklin D. Roosevelt visited Bay Beach in celebration of Green Bay's tercentennial of the landing of the French explorer Jean Nicolet in 1634. Interesting, right? Green Bay's kind of old. And it's older than that, as you can imagine, thousands of years older than that. So aside from the location and the age of the park, the other reason, or it's mainly known for, is how cheap the tickets are. Until 20 years ago, tickets were 10 cents a piece, and most rides were 1 to 2 tickets. You could easily, $20 20 years ago, $20 would get a family for rides and food, $20, and that's it. Tickets did have to increase, obviously. They're a quarter now. I think they were 20 cents for maybe a year or two, and that was just weird. So they went up to a quarter. And so, gosh, up until they went up, I think those tickets were like a red or a pink, like a reddish color. But the 10-cent tickets, they were green for decades. Decades they were green. They do not expire, by the way. So if you have a family member from Northeast Wisconsin and you have a baggie full of tickets, they'll still accept them. As long as they say Bay Beach on them, they'll still accept them. They don't expire. So when I worked there, I saw a few really old ones, and it was so cool to see. And you didn't want to tear them up. You didn't want to save them. So I did. I saved a couple of them. I don't know where they are. But they were really old. Tickets, they're yellow and they're 25 cents. Right now, rides are 1 to 2 tickets. The roller coaster is 4 tickets. So that $20 I was talking about, you could theoretically go on that roller coaster 20 times. with $20 if you were so inclined. The thrill rides are about two, 3 tickets aside from the roller coaster. The kiddie rides are 1 to 2 tickets. The slide is 1 ticket to go down once. There's a big slide. Oh, I love that one. I have a story about that later. So yeah, the place is awesome. It has a lot of history. My favorite ride personally is the Tilt-A-Whirl, and I've got a story about the Tilt-A-Whirl later, and it was my own stupidity. I will find them, but I had my 4th birthday at Bay Beach. I have pictures, little Julie, running around. It was great. I think everybody's had their birthday there at least once. It's just what you do. You just go to Bay Beach once, like as it gets closer, like once it gets to like Memorial Weekend, you start asking your parents, like, when are we going to Bay Beach? When are we going? When are we going? And you hope grandma, grandpa, or an aunt or uncle, you'll go with your cousins or something. You just go. It's a day. And I think in the article, it even mentions somebody that they go on their lunch break. They quick pull in. And because it's not gated, it's not like, the big places like Disneyland where you have to have a bracelet and go through security. It's an open park owned by the city. So you could, quick on your lunch break, if you work close enough, quick park, go on a couple rides and go back to the office, grab a hot dog on your way out. You probably could, unless you get stuck by a train or a boat. You know what I'm talking about. So, in 93, this is another piece of history, and I remember this. And so there's a big pavilion. In fact, I bought this on Etsy. Oh my gosh. And I have this hanging, but I have to share it. I'll try to share it better on Instagram. But this is a postcard from 1902. And that's exactly how the pavilion still looks. 120 years ago, the pavilion still looks like this. I am not joking. They still have it kept up looking exactly like that. It still looks like that. So you see that when you drive in, you see the pavilion. And it's so funny. I'm looking at it. I was showing my husband earlier, and I'm like, I've parked in that parking spot before. Like, again, this is over 100-year-old postcard, and it because it looks that simple, it hasn't changed. And that, I think, is another reason why people are attracted to it, because it's generationally known. Great grandparents can take their great grandchildren there, and it's the same park, from 60 years ago, just newer rides. But other than that, it's pretty much the same. It's awesome. So in 93, in the pavilion, if you're looking at it on the left side, which would have been the western side of the pavilion, hosted the bumper cars. It was like this little room, and it had the wooden floor and everything. And I remember it was hot when you were standing in line. So that would have, they built the new building in 93. I would have been 13. And I remember that because now it's a bigger building, a lot more room to breathe, and it's all open. So it's just garage doors. So it's all open during the day, and you get the breeze. Oh, when you get the breeze, it's really nice on those really hot, humid days. So yeah, the bumper cars used to be in the pavilion. That was so crazy. And then on the eastern side of the pavilion is the dance hall. They used to hold dances there, all throughout the decades. I don't know. Now it's a lot of weddings, as you can imagine, family reunions, company picnics, that kind of stuff. Just, events that the city might be hosting. But yeah, they used to host, like, I can picture, because it looks like you'd see, a big band, and I know they had big band concerts there. So a lot of people did go there. And they had, I think, roller skating in there for a while. That was before I was born, I think, maybe up until the 80s. So one thing I do have to say is the shirt that I had. I still have it, by the way. It's in storage, or it's in my garage. I have it sealed up, but it was a polo shirt. I don't know what they wear now, but it was an aqua polo shirt. And I was mad I didn't get a green one. I was even more upset that I didn't get a yellow t-shirt, which had been the standard for like 2-3 decades. You associated yellow shirts with Bay Beach ride operators. So I'm mad. If you want some nostalgia, people, bring back the yellow shirts. All I'm saying. And then give me one. So the other thing, and I don't know if they have this anymore, pony rides. There was this family, they had done it for decades, for like 2, 3 generations of like this pony ride setup where, you're on a horse and it just goes around. Real horses, real little ponies, and you just go around in a circle, and there's an operator with each kid, making sure the kid didn't fall off. So it's like really for little ones, like 5 and under. Pictures of me when I was little riding the horses. I don't think it's there anymore. I think I don't know what happened, but if it is still there, I'm very happy. If it's not, you need to get it back. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But so my job, I was a ride operator, and that was so fun. I had learned pretty much all of the rides. Like I said, some of the rides that are there now didn't exist then, or just weren't there. So the only 2 rides I didn't learn were the train, which I'm still very, very, very salty about. I wanted to learn the train, and it's a different train now than when I worked there. So the one that they have now, it's pretty cool. There was no train depot when I worked there. It was just you just lined up at this one part or this one spot. Now there's like this little train depot. It's adorable. Um, but yeah, I never got to learn the train. I'm still mad about that. The other one I didn't get to learn was the Ferris wheel. I'm very, very happy I never learned that one. If you read the article that I have linked, the 100 or the 25 facts, one of them, it talks about the Ferris wheel, and and how special it is. I'm too short. It says even in the article, only certain ride operators are allowed to run it, and that is very true. I I remember I was walking around with one of the ride supervisors, and I don't remember which one it was. And I said, when am I gonna learn the Ferris wheel? That's like one of the few I haven't learned yet. And they're like, you're not. I'm like, what? That's discrimination. And they're like, no, 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 no. It's literally a safety issue. You are not tall enough. You are not tall enough to run this ride. I come on, I want to see this. I believe you, but I need to see this visually. So yeah, sure enough, they even showed me and I could not reach. So for safety issue, if something went wrong, and I'm running the ride, well, you're in trouble. So I didn't learn that one. I'm totally fine with that. The train. So I really, really enjoyed running the rides. It was so fun. There were a few I didn't like running, but just because some people, or just I didn't like being in the sun. So I'll get into that in a second. So there were 2 shifts during the day, and then there was typically one person that covered people's lunches. So, you got to have lunch. So there would be somebody who would have like a weird midday shift, and they would cover everybody's ride while they went to lunch. Those were fun days because you're kind of like in and out. It was very, very common to work 2 shifts and work a double. You didn't care, honestly. Like, yeah, I'll work another. Like, I'm already here. You need ride, you need help on another ride. That's great. I'll stay. That's fine. You're outside. You're with your friends. It honestly, again, it was one of the best jobs I ever had. I wish I could work there now, but I'm too old. Now I'm too old to work there. Um, so it was great. So going back to the schedule, most people you'd work a double because you just wanted to, and there was a lot of switching. But I will say that the guys that were doing the schedule, and I haven't seen this since, but they did their absolute best to accommodate everyone. Again, I have not seen this since. These were just college guys. They were very inclusive. They kind of went to each person and said, are you available? What is your availability next week? Obviously, their goal was to fill every shift. That was their goal, but they did what they could to make sure that every shift was filled. So yeah, they were really great about it and just really accommodating. And everybody there was really accommodating to each other when it came to having to switch shifts. Like, oh shoot, this came up and I have to hang out with my parents or whatever, or somebody gets sick. It was just like, oh, I'm already here, I'll just stay. That was fine. Um, so I do thank them. 20 years later, thank you guys so much for being so accommodating, and I hope you took that with you throughout your careers, because it was very important, and we were all very, very thankful and grateful. Like I said, I haven't seen that since, that kind of accommodation, and accommodation. So there was that. So I was a ride operator. There were a few times where I did help out in the kitchen, but I don't remember what I did. I think it was just bringing things back and forth. Oh, and by the way, the pavilion where the bumper cars used to be, that's just storage now. Nothing fun. But yeah, like I'm running again, ha ha ha. But it was all cans, so I couldn't break anything. Sometimes just like helping out with like cleaning stuff. The other thing, I got to help in the concession stand, the ticket one, and making cotton candy. That was really fun and sticky. So you can imagine, let's say, working your first shift on a ride, you're outside, you have your sunscreen on, you've been sweating, and you got some grease on you from the ride and all that kind of stuff. And then you go make cotton candy. Actually, no. I take that back. They would not have done that. I take that back. You would have done the cotton candy first. I take that back. Cotton candy would have been first, and then to go on the ride. That would not have been hygienic. So yeah. But that was fun. I really, really did enjoy making cotton candy. It's like the big machine. You pour the sugar in, you let it spin, you get this thing, and it was fun. I got pretty good at it. Yeah, it was fun. One of my sons, a huge fan of cotton candy, and he's very jealous. So I'm like, sorry, it's not like I was eating it. I was making it. And then I got sticky, but it's not like I was eating it. So that would have been a big no-no. So I didn't. So that was really fun. Okay, what else can I talk about? I have a whole list of things that I was going to talk about, but let's see here. I don't want to talk about that. Okay, the other thing that I will say, very, very grateful, and they definitely did their due diligence, at least the supervisors did, making sure everybody stayed hydrated. They wore a hat with a visor and to use sunscreen. This is a summer job. It's outside. It's Northeast Wisconsin. You're near the water, and some of the rides, there's like direct sun. The boats, that ride specifically. So you definitely wanted to wear a hat with a visor, and sunglasses were okay. I don't wear sunglasses, or I didn't at the time. I do now. And sunscreen, that was very encouraged. Hydrated, being hydrated was very, very important, to the point where they had like a whole bunch of those big things that hold Gatorade, like at football games and stuff, the big igloo ones. And we would fill them every morning with water and ice and bring them to our ride. And that was our water for the day. And just make sure you drink your water. We don't need anybody getting sick and passing out. That's not good. So yeah, I will definitely say they definitely made sure we drank our water. So the other thing too, then having somebody taking place when you needed a break was very important. So there's that. Again, with safety, very strict about height. At least I was. I know everybody else that I worked with we were very strict about height, just because of the safety issues. If a kid is too short, they're going to hit their head, and then there's a whole thing where you have to, you don't want to do that. You don't want to mess with that. So it's just no. And it was a lot of, and that's where having my background in the Boys and Girls Club was very important, because then, telling kids bad news, like, I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I'm so sorry, little guy. Next year, you'll be tall enough next year. But there's a really cool bunch of rides over there, trying to make it better for the kid, and not just, sorry, kid. You didn't want to be like in Big, like, sorry, kid, you're too short, but it was more of being gentle, like, I'm so sorry. So, because I remember that when I was a kid, and the ride operators were really sweet then, and saying, I'm sorry, next year you'll be tall enough. So I do have one story. One day when I was working the bumper cars, and like I said, it was one big building, it was all open, and I had a walkie-talkie just because it was an enclosed building, but it was open. It was harder to get the attention of like a ride supervisor, so I had a walkie-talkie. And I was on the bumper car. I was assigned the bumper cars a lot because I'm a very loud person, and I didn't need a megaphone, because there are some rules that you have to say before you turn the ride on, or turn the floor and all of that on. Like, hey, only go in this direction, that kind of thing. I'm very loud. So I was assigned to that a lot, which was fine by me. I enjoyed running the bumper cars. But one day, it was a Saturday, it's busy. Alcohol is not allowed on the park or in the park. This guy, he had been drinking, which you're not supposed to do, at least not on the grounds. And he was there with his daughter, and I was measuring her height. There's a line. It's Saturday. She was just too short to even go on the ride. And I felt terrible because, you know, she was looking forward to it. And, you know, kind of knelt down. I'm like, I'm so sorry, but, you know, next year you'll definitely be able to be tall enough. But, you know, what, you know, you can go on this ride and blah, blah, blah. This is my favorite ride. Like, you can go on the Tilt-A-Whirl. That's pretty cool. Or the Scrambler. And she's like, okay. She took it really well, you know, for being probably 6 or 7. She was just too short to go on the ride, period. And her dad had a few, and he, fortunately, because he'd had a few, he was a little slower than he thought he was, and he took a swing at me, but his movement was so slow. I just moved backwards and immediately grabbed the walkie-talkie and security, get this guy. And, you know, that poor little girl, seriously, how embarrassing. It's one thing to not be able to able to go on the ride, but to have your dad do something like that. Like, I felt so sorry for the little girl. Like, I'm so sorry. So she's like, so whoever you are, little girl, I hope you're okay. Whomever that was, it was 20 years ago. She's probably like, you know, 25, 30 now. So, yeah, if you're not tall enough, there's a reason. There's a reason. Safety first. So, the first summer that I worked there, because like I said, I worked there for 2 summers. The first summer that I worked there was 2000. There was a concert in the back of the pavilion, which faces the bay, and it's really pretty. It's a big picnic area, and there was a concert. I chose not to work that day. I avoided the park, but it was Hanson. Again, summer of 2000. I remember when the supervisors were doing the schedule for that week, like, who wants to work during the Hanson concert? I'm like, I'm out. No, thank you. No, thank you. That's not my thing. So I missed out. I stayed home. I think I went on the west side. I'm avoiding that area of the town. So the other, this is where my forgetfulness is actually funny. So I go into work one day and I forgot that there was going to be a big to-do. So I go into work and there are cars everywhere. Like, I couldn't find a parking spot. I was ticked about that. Go into the pavilion so I can clock in, you know, get my stuff and start walking to, I think I was working the SCAT that day. The SCAT is the ride you stand up and you get spun around. So you're kind of attached, you're suctioned to the wall. I think I was working that ride that day. Or the helicopters, which is right before it, which is like for kids. And went to grab my stuff. I'm like, why is it so busy? And I was like muttering to myself, like, walking through, and and then I'm like, oh, that's right, Al Gore is here. It was during his presidential campaign. So I'm like, no, just trying to get to my job, and I'm a minute late. Blah, 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 blah. And Al Gore walks right past me, and I shook his hand. I get to my ride, I'm like, I just met the vice president. All right, okay. Well, that's why it's so busy. Okay. That makes sense. So yeah, I shook Al Gore's hand. Missed Hanson, but that's okay. There used to be teen nights when I worked there. I worked a couple, and good gravy, no. And there's probably there's a good reason why they don't have them anymore. But teen nights, I think it was every other week. I think it was like a Monday or something. After the park would close, it would be open for teenagers, basically, like, you know, 12 to 16-year-olds, basically. not a good idea. Your bicycle cops would have to go through, and it ended up being bad. I think WIXX would be there. What's his name? Otis? Is he still on the air? I don't know. But he had this little WIXX booth, it's a radio station in Green Bay for like all the pop music. And yeah. So I think after like 2-3 summers, they stopped doing it. The teen nights. I did one. There was one, my friend, she always tells this story of, she worked a teen night. She was working on the Tilt-A-Whirl, and she saw a girl, 12 years old. Mind you, my sons are 12, 13, lift up her shirt. She's got nothing. She has nothing. It's like, what are you even doing? So it was like stuff like that, finding condom. It's just like, kids, what are you doing? So ruined a good thing. Kids, millennials. I'm half millennial. Anyway, so yeah, we're at the concession stand. Oh, the slide. I was talking about the slide earlier. It's huge. It's really tall. You have to go down. You have to sit on a burlap sack kind of slide. So you have to walk. There is no escalator. There is no elevator. You have to walk up the stairs. It's worth it, as long as the slide is dry. So there would be days, obviously, it would rain overnight, or there'd be some dew from overnight, and we would have to go clean off the slide. So there would be a group of us, maybe 4 or 5 of us, because you'd need at least 2 people to run the slide anyway. So it'd be those 2 people and then a couple of extra folks. Basically grab this big bin of rags, like old t-shirts and stuff, start at the top of the slide and just start drying it off. Everybody gets a lane. You stick to your lane was said a lot. And you just start at the top and just start drying. There are like 5-6 lanes. And yes, there were a few times, I kid you not, I ran up the slide. I had very grippy shoes, and I was 20. And you have to, like, basically starting from don't do it. Okay. Don't do this. Okay. But I did. But you have to basically start from pretty much at the fence and just get a running start and just run up. It's a slide where you start at the top, you go down, and then there's flat, you go down, flat, you go down, and then that's the end. So that was fun. Working that ride was fun. I liked it. I worked the bottom and the top. That sounds really bad. When you're working at the bottom of the stairs, you're checking height and you're getting tickets from people, and you're making sure everybody grabs a burlap sack. You have to have one to get down. Otherwise, you're going to be just stuck. Your pants will just stick, or your shorts. And so at the top, you're the person that tells people when to go. Like once, the person goes down and they hit a certain point, you can tell the next person, okay, you can go. That was fun. I never thought about it. I think maybe I did, but since then I forgot about like how high up you really are. In the article it says, I think it's like 55 feet or something. I don't know. That would be ridiculous. I don't remember how tall it is, but it's pretty tall. I never got scared. You'd be the person who would keep an eye out for lightning, because you were going to be like, so whenever there was lightning, obviously you turn your ride off and you go inside, you grab your stuff and you go into the pavilion. Don't mess with lightning. If it was raining, obviously we'd stay open. So yeah, working the slide, that was fun. Like I said, with rain, if it's raining, you stay open, but as soon as there's lightning, you turn your ride off, everything, and you grab your stuff and you go inside. So when it came to rain, that's when like certain people would like to come to the park, just because there's no line. So they'd be like in their t-shirt and shorts, and it's pouring rain, but we're out there in rain gear and still running rides. So you get a couple families come in and just take advantage of there isn't a line. You get right on the ride, and they'd spend their $5 in tickets and then go home, and that was it. It's not like they'd stayed there for 4 hours. They were there for 5 rides, and that was it. So that was fun. You see everybody, every kind of person, everybody. It brings in everybody, every family, every person. You can't have a bad day there. You just can't. I talked about the slide. I'm saying all of this in like no particular order. Oh, the Olympics. We had Baby Beach Olympics, which was for employees only. And that was fun. I don't know if we did it both years that I worked there. It was definitely one summer we did it. And it was after we closed. We had to get approvals, of course, for safety purposes. And we just had different events that we had to do. And I forgot what any of them were. God, I can't even imagine. But we got to go on the rides, which was cool. I know the Tilt-A-Whirl was involved. I know there was some running involved. I think there was some baseball involved. And that was always fun because sometimes we just play baseball. I think we did that. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. So that was fun. No, it was just one night. We had a lot of fun. We had t-shirts made up and everything. The second summer I was there, oh, this is fun. The second summer I was there, one of the ride supervisors, he's special. He had spent the previous, I think, 2 years or something at taking classes at Second City in Chicago because he wanted to do comedy. So he came back that summer after 2 years. I don't know what he was going to do with it, but he said, you know what? I've learned a whole bunch of stuff, and I know there are a couple folks here that are really interested in comedy. Let's do our own improv workshops after we close. So we did. I learned improv by way of like Second City tactics by way of a guy who took classes there. So that was really fun. I think we did it once a week, like Tuesdays or Thursdays or something. And we did it in the pavilion in the room that I told you that they used to host dances because there's a stage. And it's like this old, beautiful stage. It's like, you could tell it's probably from the 40s. And so we'd be on stage and we would, like still in our work clothes. And we're doing, like improv stuff. It was so fun. I learned a lot. And I think that's definitely helped me be a better storyteller, except I'm doing Jimmy Fallon where I'm laughing at my own jokes right now. That's not good. But that was fun. So whatever that guy is up to, I hope it's funny. Going back to the bumper cars, like I said, there was a period of time where I think it was like 3 weeks straight where I was working the bumper cars a lot. Again, I'm not complaining. I really enjoyed working on the bumper cars, but my friend, I call her Richard. I've called her that before in a previous episode. She was working the yo-yo, which is a swing ride. So it swings, but you go around, but it kind of tilts a little bit. Anyway, she was running that ride during the day, and at night we had to put the bumper cars away and park them nicely for the next person the next day, which was usually me anyway. And she was helping me park the cars, and she came after me. She tried to run me down. We still laugh about that now. It was fun. I didn't get hurt. It was fine. I'm pretty tough. In fact, this is how tough I am. Tough and just not paying attention. So the Tilt-A-Whirl, it's probably my favorite ride at Bay Beach. It's always has been. It's the red one where you're in a little car and you swing around, and there's always this legend of if you have to be in car number blah and you're going to go the fastest. It doesn't matter what number you are in. It just depends on what position that car is when the ride stops. And also weight has something to do with it. So if you lean into the spin, so get everyone to lean into the spin. It's all physics. So if you're good at physics, you'll do well on that ride, I guess. I don't know. You get the most spins. But that ride, it has 2 breaks to it. One to stop the whole platform from spinning around, and then one to stop the individual cars from spinning. And I was going into my shift to work on the Tilt-A-Whirl, and I was paying attention, but I wasn't paying attention. And I saw my coworker pull the lever to stop the whole platform. I knew that was in place. I saw her do it. And I saw her hand by the other brake, and I could have sworn she had, switched the brake, but she hadn't. And so I had stepped on the platform, which is dumb. And I got smacked by one of the cars, the Tilt-A-Whirl cars, which it's like being hit by a car that's going like under 5 miles an hour. Um, yeah. I was fine, obviously. I'm bruised. I was bruised up. It was my own fault. I can't blame anybody. It was my own fault. So, and it was a Saturday, by the way, which you can imagine Saturdays are the busiest day. So all I remember is there was a woman in the car that hit me, and she's just like, I could see the look on her face of just freaking out because there's nothing she can do, and she's, obviously just freaked out because this ride operator being an idiot gets hit by it. And I could hear the entire crowd, like everyone in line, because it's Saturday, it's busy. And then whispering, like, oh my God, is she okay? Is she okay? And it took me a second, but I stood up, and my coworker came over to me like, oh my God, you idiot, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. And I stood up, and I'm like, finally, I basically got the wind knocked out of me. And I have asthma. I didn't know that at the time. And so I stood up, and everybody's just like, relieved. There's a huge sigh of relief. Like, everybody is relieved that I'm okay. And I'm like, see, people, this is why you do not get off the ride until it's done. And then everybody started laughing and just clapping. Like, they thought it was a demonstration. I'm like, no, I actually got hurt. So, I remember I had like ice packs on my leg. I had this big bruise on my knee. And yes, I filled out an incident report. It was my fault. I didn't go to the hospital or anything. I didn't need to, which fortunately I didn't like, it could have been bad. So yeah, pay attention to where you're stepping. Be safe. Don't be stupid. Yeah. So, yeah, I was fine. Bruise was beautiful. I wish I had pictures of it. So yeah, just safety first. Wow, I'm like 42 minutes in. Dang. Okay, I've got a few more things to talk about. So, perks. I got to work at Bay Beach. The prestige of working at Bay Beach was enough. I know we got discounts on food, which I think my diet was basically chicky nug nugs and pretzels with that cheese sauce. With chicken nuggets with the cheese sauce was awesome. I think that was pretty much what I ate for 2 summers. And soda, water, a lot of water, like I said. To do that all again, that'd be so fun. So lessons, safety protocols are for a reason. I just told you about the Tilt-A-Whirl. The other thing I have to say, it's more about a PSA. Don't feed seagulls. I don't care where you are in the world. Don't feed the seagulls, okay? Just, ooh, I live in Seattle now. And it's a problem here too. Like, don't feed the seagulls. Don't feed them human food. In fact, last year, or actually 2 years ago, right before the pandemic, here in Washington, Lake Washington, in fact, people have been feeding the birds. And because of the birds, their waste pretty much got into the water. And because of that, the water became gross because of all the bird poo, because of the humans feeding them, that nobody could swim in the lake. It was several lakes that we couldn't swim in because people were feeding the birds. So I'm saying this for a reason. Don't feed the seagulls. Thank you. So why did I leave? Well, it was seasonal. I was only there 2 summers. I will say they did a great job, and I'm sure they still do this for retention. When it comes closer, it's like March-ish. So I'm sure kids from last year are going to be getting a call soon. Hey, do you want to come back for this summer? And people leave. Again, it's you grow out of college. I'll get to another reason why I left, but it was seasonal. I was there for 2 summers. We'll leave it at that. So the article that I've been talking about, I do want to touch on a few things that I just thought were kind of neat. I don't know if it's going to let me. So it's kind of like 25 things you don't know about Bay Beach. So I don't think it's going to let me now, and I'm kind of mad about it. One of the things I know in that article, it talks about that there is a basement. Yeah, there's a basement. I got to go in it. There was it was one of those times it was lightning, so we couldn't work on our rides. You helped clean the pavilion. You helped organize things. It was like a kind of a catch up opportunity, which was totally fine. But yeah, there was a time where like we caught up on everything. We had set up the pavilion for an event, and so a few of us, one of the ride supervisors, like, hey, you want to check out the basement? And there was like a group of us. We're like, yeah, let's go down there. It's a basement. I don't remember anything. It was just a basement. It was dark. Nothing special. Um, let's see. What are the other things? Oh yeah, this was really fun. But one of the first ride, actually Bay Beach's first ride. I'm reading this from the article. First ride in 1908 put a group of passengers in a flat bottom boat, cranked it up to the top of a tower, and then dropped it down the chute, sending the boat skimming across the bay. 10 cents. Again, those ticket prices lasted for that long. Unfortunately, the ride didn't last because if you know anything about lakes and if you know anything about winter regions, too many the structure of the ride just disintegrated simply because the ice and the ice flows messed it up during the off season because again it's seasonal. Be careful what's in your pocket, just like any ride. Be careful what shoes you wear. Don't wear flip flops to Bay Beach, especially if you go on one of the swing rides. Um, yeah, I like that. There are signs now all over the park with the history of each of them. Like the scat was acquired in '85. I remember that, and I'm I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm going to tell the story. I think I was probably nine or something, and we went to Bay Beach with a friend and her mom, and my mom and her mom went on the scat, and so I must have been 9, so my mom was probably right around 30, not very old. I remember she got sick after she went on it, and I teased her for it, and she's like, someday it's going to happen to you. Yeah, right. That was my favorite ride for a long time, for several years. And then when I when I started working there, I went on the ride. I used to love riding or working on that ride, but I went on it one day and nope, I got sick. She's like, "Yeah, I told you." Speaking of getting sick, it happens. It happens. Be careful what you eat before you go on the ride. I have had to clean up sick. Lots and lots of bleach. Lots of bleach. You have to stop the ride. It's worse when it's a busy day. And I know the person when it happens to them, they feel awful. And I never try to make that person feel terrible. Like go take care of yourself. Like go get yourself cleaned up. Like don't worry about it. You basically have to call somebody to come help you get buckets, hose, bleach and all that kind of stuff because you pretty much have to stop the ride for a bit until you properly clean it because you want it to be sanitary. I had one person, they hit their head on the bumper car and I had to clean up blood. Obviously, gloves are huge. I'm sure the safety protocols are even higher now because past COVID or post COVID. So, yeah, just be careful. Oh, yeah. Is the pavilion haunted? Yeah, probably. I think I've seen a ghost a couple times. It's a story I've heard many, many, many times. Um, Baby's first ride, probably the bugs. Yeah, I can see that. There were 2 different bug rides, and I'm sure I know one of my first rides was not the granny bugs, but the other one. There is a difference. The granny bugs were acquired from I think Thumb Fun Park, which closed like 10 years prior to that. So yeah, the bugs definitely not the ones that are in the air, but the other ones. The boats. That was one of my favorite rides too. When I was really itty bitty little, I have pictures of me in the old boats, and the jeeps, which I always hated working that ride. Which I loved it because the kids were so adorable, but I hated it because you always had the parents singing "Ring the Bell." Irritating. Um, yeah, there's more to Green Bay than just the Packers. Bay Beach is definitely one of them, but unfortunately it's only open a few months out of the year. The carousel, oh, I used to run the carousel and I loved it, except having to hear the music all day. That got the waltz music got to me a few times. It's fine. You can buy, I don't know if you can buy the cassette anymore, but you can buy the CD so you can listen to it all day if you want. I really did enjoy running the Ferris, or not the Ferris wheel, that's too short, the carousel. That was really fun. Kids really enjoy that one. Adults love that one too. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. The train, like I said, I never got to learn it, but the train is awesome. Everywhere there's pretty much photo friendly, not photo friendly, but like photographic, especially when you get out to the bay. Let's see. Yeah, be careful what day you go. Saturdays are the busiest. Sunday is the second busiest. Then Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are the least busy. Yeah, I don't know what else I can talk about. I know I'm forgetting a few things, which is really unfortunate. But my goodness, I really, really had a great time. It was one of the best jobs I ever had. And I do have to say this. I really do. And I all the improvements that have happened over the last 20 years. So the park has been running steady for 130 years, but the last 10 have been because of one guy. Well, I shouldn't say one guy, but one guy and his team. But 20 years ago, when I worked there was a ride supervisor, and he and I would walk around and talk about the park. And he did this with everybody too. He was very open in, what his vision was for the park. At the time, there was the person who ran everything, and then he was like slightly under. He was like right under her, and he's like, someday I want to be running this place. I can see over there a roller coaster. I can see more rides over there. I can see parking over there. I can see a concession stand over there. I can see a ticket booth over there. And he had all of these ideas. And every time I hear that something new has been added, I just think, oh my God, that's one more. It's one more thing that he's accomplished. So I'm calling out. I'm not crying. This is happy. This is very happy. And I just want to call out to Jason Arnoldi. He's the guy. All the improvements that you've seen at that park over the last 10, 15 years, it came from his head. Yeah, talking about the roller coaster, and then it happened. And not only that, it was Elvis's favorite, right? I mean, obviously Elvis didn't visit Green Bay to go to it because that would be impossible. But it's the Zip and Pippin, and it was like his favorite ride. So it was built in homage to that. But my gosh, just everything that has been done to expand the park has been, because of this guy. So good job. Keep it up. I hope I can visit, and I want to say hi to Brittany as well. Hi. I hope I can visit this summer and see everything that's been added. The last time I was there, I think, was the summer of 2016. So there's a lot since then that has been added. My kids were there, staying with grandparents a couple of years ago before the pandemic, and they were telling me about the cool stuff that they got to see. And I'm like, oh, no way. That's awesome. Oh God, it was one of the best jobs I ever had. And that's all I can say. I'll say it over and over and over. It was a really great place to work, and it's a great place to go. You can go for a day at picnic and, just put some food and go grill. They have grills there, charcoal grills, and you can rent a shelter if you want and just make a day of it. And it's great. I didn't even get to talk about the whole area where the wildlife sanctuary where you go to feed the ducks. I didn't even get to talk about how the Children's Museum has moved their building in that area. There's go-karts, which I think friend of the family used to own it. I don't know. There's a mini putt-putt as well as bumper boats. That whole area is really becoming family friendly. If you want to support, like I said, Bring Back the Beach campaign is going on right now as we speak, and I can't wait to see that happen. I could go on and on and on. I realize I've been going on for about an hour, and I should probably wrap it up. So I want to thank you all. The next episode is going to take us to ShopGo, a store that no longer exists. It closed shop, I think, at the beginning of the pandemic. So that'll be a fun story. And for those of you that are interested in marketing, I host a show for AMA Puget Sound, the American Marketing Association, where I interview different guests each week and we talk about marketing stuff for an hour. Other than that, thank you all for watching and sticking with me. Be sure to like and subscribe and have a great day. Bye.